Hello again. Welcome to the second Morphosyntax session of our module on Old Albanian. In this video, we will focus on the phenomenon of the admirative in Albanian. Let me first talk you through our roadmap. First of all, we will start by the formation of the admirative in modern Albanian, followed by the meanings of the admirative in the modern language. Then we will discuss the admirative in Old Albanian and some examples of the admirative in the Diaspora. And finally, we will address the origin of the admirative. First, on the formation of the admirative in the modern language. Admirative forms are built in the following way. Historically, we are dealing with analytic forms of the perfect in which the participle was fronted. Hence, to make the admirative forms of a verb, you take the participle, delete its suffix, such as ur, r, or in the standard language, and you suffix the finite forms of the verb to have to the truncated remnant of the participle. Thus, for instance, of the verb to have, the third singular present admirative is paska, formed from the truncated form pas of the participle, plus the third singular of to have, ka. Similarly, the other forms in the right-hand column, cienka, laka and mesuaka, are derived from the participles cien, lar and mesuar. We will now look at the endings of the admirative. As we have said, the present admirative takes as its endings the finite present forms of ka, to have. In the imperfect, the corresponding imperfect forms of ka are used after the truncated participle, but instead of the initial syllable kish, which the imperfect of to have usually displays, the form that surfaces in the imperfect admirative is kush. Kush instead of kish. Hence we get, for instance, first singular pas kusha, apparently I had, and second plural mesua kushit, apparently you taught. The one exception concerns the third singular of the imperfect, where there is variation between the endings kush and k in the standard language. Cienkush but lake are just examples. Historically, the second variant with k is the older one. We turn to the meanings of the admirative. A variety of meanings is connected with the use of the admirative. Some of the main uses of the admirative are the following. It is used in exclamations, as in, wow, he has come, or surprise at new findings, so he has come. In bewildered questions, has he come? It is used for indirect speech and hearsay. They say he has come. Or for the remote narrative. Once upon a time there came. If we try to summarize the main pragmatic components involved in the occurrence of the admirative, we can identify emotion, as expressed by the term mirativity, source of information or evidentiality, and comment or intention or modality. Now we turn to some concrete examples of sentences containing an admirative. The element of surprise is apparent in the sentence O shiko shiko ora paska itsur pakuptur, meaning, oh look, time has been flying, pronounced while the speaker looked at his watch and saw that it was later than he expected. Another example, the element of inference emanates from the following sentence, taken from the same novel by Michiel de Vaan. Aha, at arcus ich duket eruet kan gashiu. That is, aha, so they are keeping that chest from the rain, with the admirative form ruaitkan. This sentence is said while observing how carefully the chest is moved from a coach to an inn, and it conveys the inference that the carefulness is motivated by the fear of the chest getting wet. In the next sentence from the novel The Dossier H, we hit on the element of hearsay. Zonja Sofia thoshte, paska ardhur për të përmirësuar shëndetin. In other words, Mrs. Sophia said, they say he has come to improve his health. Paska ardhur. The undertone here being, but I'm not so sure that that's the real reason. Our next example is taken from the field of folk tales, where it refers to remote past. Compare the beginning of the story about the mare and the wolf. Paska një herë një vakët. Once upon a time there was a mare. To summarize, in modern Albanian, the admirative is a non-confirmative mood. It signals that the speaker does not take responsibility for the assertion, but claims indirect knowledge. One of the pragmatic effects of this usage is the connotation of surprise, the mirativity. We now turn to the summary. The morphology shows that the admirative originated in the analytic perfects of the type he has come. Cross-linguistically, there is a frequent link between perfects and non-confirmatives, in that the past status of the event that is related automatically co-implies that its operation cannot be witnessed anymore now. This gives room for uncertainty. Let's have a look at the old gag perfect, the source category of the admirative. The unmarked word order in the analytic perfect is auxiliary plus participle, as in these examples from Buzuku, ka dërguam, he is sent, or jan klen, they have been. The inverted word order of participle plus auxiliary is marked, and it is found mainly in relative clauses. Compare, again from Buzuku's Mishari, beku embarkte, ki ty bartune ka. Blessed is the belly that has carried you, with carried preceding has. Carried preceding has. Or the next phrase, porsi grat than kishne, just like the women had told, where told precedes had. There are only a few forms in Buzuku in which the inverted participle plus auxiliary construction has merged into one single form, and which also shows mirative semantics. One of these is the following sentence, given here. Eti ruiteke venene emir dieritash, but you have kept the good wine until now. Note that, unlike in the modern-day admirative, where such a form would mean you are apparently keeping, the form we have here, ruiteke, still displays resultative semantics. We move on to the next example, where the sentence is uttered in astonishment by Mary Magdalene. Mar kishne ten zoon een vorit. They have taken our Lord from the grave. This time with the admirative imperfect. We move on to hypothetical clauses. In hypothetical clauses, the inverted pluperfect is more frequently found. It has a counterfactual meaning, but it is without admirative connotation. Compare from Buzuku the phrase here, EU ne njihnitemur e atnetem te njochkiste. And if you knew me, you would also know my father, with the admirative imperfect of njoch, to know, te njochkiste. Here is a next example, which contains three pluperfect forms, an inverted one and a normal one, in parallel in the subclause, and another inverted one, that is the type foreshadowing the admirative, in the main clause, with its meaning, and if I had not come, and if I had not spoken to them, they would have no sin. The forms arkeshe and paskishne are inverted pluperfects with a truncated participle. The truncated participle of to come and the truncated participle of to have, whereas keshtan, I had said, is a normal pluperfect. Over here. We seem to be grasping the construction in its initial stages of grammaticalization here. We now move to Bogdani. A century later than Buzuku, in Bogdani's band of prophets, the preference of the inverted pluperfect for subclauses remains, as here, in the males who had recently been born, with the verb form lekeshin, which shows no admirative semantics. Another example from Bogdani, we can still find the inverted pluperfect in a main clause in Bogdani. In this sentence, po ende kthyrkeshin seriu e flisin kech per moisesne, the inverted pluperfect opens the discourse, while it is being continued by the normal imperfect flisin in the next clause. So here is the inverted pluperfect and here the imperfect that continues in the next clause. Thus, there may have been an element of focus involved in the selection of the inverted pluperfect in the first place, which fed into the later admirative analysis. Let's now go to the Diaspora. Tosk Albanian utterances registered on the Greek islands of Hydra and Poros in the 19th century display remnants of the irrealis usage of the admirative imperfect, as in tu vratikeshim, if we had been murdered, this form here. The resemblance to Buzuku's hypothetical clauses and the preponderance of the inverted pluperfect in Bogdani is too close to be coincidental. Hence, Arvanitic retains a pre-admirative archaism from the incipient stage of the specialization of the inverted pluperfects. We move across the sea to Arborish. The situation in Arborish is less clear. There is no admirative, but part of the Arborish dialects possesses a so-called presumptive perfect, which means that the perfect forms convey uncertainty about the event. Compare on this screen the aorist rashi, it has rained, with the perfect karachi, it has probably rained. It is disputed whether the semantic nucleus of the change from an unmarked perfect to a non-confirmative or presumptive perfect, which could then be explained as a first stage on the road to the admirative, was already present in the southern Tosk dialects that became Arborish. Some think that Arborish developed this category independently. We now move to our summary. Here is a summary of the preceding. The resultative perfect became a non-confirmative present. The inverted word order was not originally a feature only of the admirative forms. The full morphology of the modern admirative already existed in the 16th century, as did the core semantics, and this is confirmed by Arvanitic Tosk. The preponderance of counterfactual meaning and of the pluperfect in the oldest attestations suggests that the grammaticalization may have started in the inverted pluperfect, in contexts where it was pragmatically marked. The specific grammaticalization of the admirative in the modern language may have developed between 1700 and 1900 under the influence of Turkish, a language that possesses a similar meritive category. This concludes our survey on the admirative in Albanian. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Faleminderit për vëmendjen tuaj. I thank you for your attention and say goodbye.